I just love this place. The views right away in front, with all the wildlife surrounding, once an industrial part of the Saltwells Local Nature Reserve. It's crazy to think that man once dug all the land right away in front, and all the wildlife and the surrounding trees have taken back on that industrial landscape. And you all may be wondering why I'm starting this point for the Dudley Canal walk. And the reason is, many years ago, just right about there, an incline went all the way up and took clay used for lavatory basins, taken to a basin right away to the back where it was loaded by brewins cutting that were horse drawn all the way down the Dudley Canal. But the hole going right away to the bottom is really impressive. But the views are just really spectacular to sit here for hours and just enjoy what we've got. This has definitely got to be one of my favourite walks in the Black Country, heading from the local nature reserve and all the way down the Dudley #2 canal right away in front. Heading to Old Hill, where the Gossy Hill tunnel comes to an end and where you've got to cross over and get to the other side of the canal up Coombs Wood. There is so much history lurking down here. You can imagine for generations the Dudley #2 canal has provided an excellent place for a nice walk, or for transportation of goods. You can imagine all the factories down here, coal mines. It was very prosperous at parts of the canal heading towards Netherton. But you can just see, coming from the nature reserve, we've still got the stunning views with the canal heading all the way down and the trees right away in front. Almost immediately, work started on an extension called Line #2, which ran through another long tunnel at Lappel to reach Worcester and Birmingham Canal. This was completed in 1798, but significant trade had to wait until the Worcester and Birmingham was completed in 1802. In 1846, the canal amalgamated the Birmingham Canal navigations and various improvements followed, including the Netherton Tunnel. This was of a similar length and parallel to the Dudley Tunnel, but it was much more bigger with towpaths on both sides and gas lighting. It was the last canal tunnel to be built in England. You really wouldn't believe that just right away here, coal mines spanned all the way around towards the side of the Dudley #2 canal. Just further down we've got Primrose Bridge and where they tested the chains going back in the Black Country days. According to the old Ordnance Survey maps, shows evidence of coal mines stretching all the way down with Saltwells Colliery and different pits heading towards the other side of the Dudley #2 canal. And there used to be many other industries around here, with marine works being right away to the back and some more things that are further back over that way with more collieries. You just wouldn't realise there was that much industry down the Dudley #2 canal, with the coal mines like I mentioned spanning the further back and going even further to the bottom right away down there. Just by the side of me is some really cool places. That is actually called Lloyd's Proving House, where they tested the chains. Massive factories stretching all the way to the back, with even some derelict parts right away over there. And just further over that way used to be Noah Hingeley's, where they made the Titanic anchor, one of the biggest things that was made within the Black Country, and lots of history behind that one once more. So just further down the canal we've just found a sign here saying Lloyd's Proving House tested the great chains and anchors for Hingeley's and the surrounding area. Once their strength was proved, they would be hauled out and lifted onto wagons by their mammoth steam crane, the tracks of which can still be seen on the other side of the canal. But wow, look at the size of that chain heading all the way down. Just imagine things like this were tested in the proving house right away to the back, just those couple of buildings right away there. So I could imagine if you did get permission to go to the other side of the waterside estate, you would probably find a very old track going all the way across. But what I really love about this old proving house is the architecture of the old brick going all the way down. And then from the bridge, what I seen earlier, the far back derelict sides of the once industrialised factory. As we journey down the Dudley No. 2 canal, we discover more interesting things to do with the Industrial Revolution. So Noah Hingeley's used to sit right away over there on the other side of the Dudley No. 2 canal. You really wouldn't believe they made the Titanic anchor for the boat itself. And apart from the Industrial Revolution, from the mining and various other industries, that Titanic anchor boosted the Black Country fame and is well known across several countries across the globe. So by looking at the canal once more, you can just see that it goes in the V shape. I'm guessing that could have been an old loading wharf when all the industries were prosperous right over the back. So there is a sign here saying this illustrious company's works was the grandest and most respected anchor and chain manufacturer in the world for 150 years. Formed in 1838, it produced at one point 90% of the world's anchors, a mass of towering chimneys and as vast as a city it employed. Thousands of men and used millions of tons of iron and coke in its hungry furnaces. This monument is dedicated to the brave and skilled workers of Hingeley's. And you can just imagine it's things like this what made the Black Country apart from coal mining. It's the things what we made. Quite a lot of stuff around this area has vanished, like several factories that make chains and various bits and pieces. All the steel is made abroad, like you had Round Oak Steelworks right to the back, when it just vanished over time. It is a shame to see we're losing quite a lot of Black Country industry, but the Noah Hingeley's is probably one of the most famous ones. You can definitely tell how industrialised the canal was because heading further to the bumble, there is evidence from the old days of old off branches going all the way down. You had the Withymoor branch and so much more. But let's go and journey further down the canal and let's go and explore it all together. So as we head further down to the bungalow, you can just see that this was all industrialised back from the past. Just right away behind me was a factory just over to that way from where I come from. You can just see all the modern houses that have been built right around to the corner used to look like this. You really wouldn't believe it. And like I mentioned, off branches, this section here where the wall's been filled in, the canal used to go into there back in the Black Country days, known as the Withymoor branch. And you can just see from the aerial photo right away there of the map, and also some pictures of the Withymoor branch stretching all the way down. And then somewhere down to here on the corner you had Withymoor interchange before it was dismantled in 1970. So you can definitely tell how much the Dudley No. 2 canal has changed, where the canal used to go right away underneath here, then to the other side. You can just see evidence of the old bridge and the brick wall right away there. I believe it's just flat land right away to the back. And then that photo of the cottage where all the new modern houses are right away to the back, was that what you see in the photo. But I tell you what, the bungalow has to be one of my favourite places to visit because it's surrounded with wildlife. It's an industrial landscape just to go and visit, where you can see evidence of the old coal mine remains, Windmill End Colliery. So here we are, we've made it to the bungalow right away in front. We've got the Toll End Works Bridge going right away to the back, cast in the 1800s. And then we can just see right away into the corner the Boschball arm, what goes all the way through and loops round the bungalow to come back to the other section where the other bridges are. But the views up here are really spectacular, and if you like your wildlife, then the bungalow is definitely the place to come. Right away in front, a stunning view looking right away to the bottom of the Netherton tunnel branch going right away through, and then the extension line that goes all the way to Old Hill. And then the views overlooking right away to the back, we've got Turner's Hill and the further back area of Rowley Regis right away over there. And I can just see the open cemetery that joins right away down to the bottom where Tottenham Bridge is. The present day Bungalow Branch Canal and Boschball Branch surround Bungalow, a water-filled clay pit in Bungalow and Warrensall Nature Reserve, Rowley Regis. They formed a loop part of the original Dudley No. 2 canal until the opening of the Netherton Tunnel in 1858. Part of the loop is infilled, giving access to the pool. An area next to the Bungalow and Dudley canals is the Bumble Local Nature Reserve. And this is it, what a beautiful place, the Bungalow. And you can just see the Bungalow cafe right away there, where you can go for a nice coffee or biscuit. And you can just see the other off-branch canals that go right away through, the extension line of the Dudley No. 2 canal. And the Boschball arm, what loops all the way around, where it's infilled at a certain section, meeting back down to where it was earlier. But you can just get some really nice views of the pool once more, right away to the back. Definitely a nice place for a walk, and then once more for the wildlife. And this is it, the Netherton Tunnel branch stretching all the way down. We've even got the view of the Cobb's engine house right about there, with the bigger stack sticking right away up. And of course, the Netherton Tunnel is one of my favourite canal routes, going all the way through to the Birmingham Canal Navigations, because right at the other end it allows access to go even further into the Black Country. And you can just see the dark 1.7 mile long tunnel. I find it really fascinating to the way this was even constructed back from then. It was all done by hand, and you can just imagine several injuries when this was even built. But it's marvellous to see how it goes in a perfect line all the way through to the other end of Tividale. And it was all once gas lit, then electric lit once from the power of the Tividale aqueduct. But sadly all that's gone, and all what's left now is the pure darkness and massive potholes going right away off the path. and a very poor state of Netherton Tunnel itself. You can just imagine how old it really is. Most of the side of the walls are collapsing. You can see right away there's a massive crack leading all the way up. Just imagine in time, if that doesn't get repaired, all that will landslide forward and could possibly damage the entrance into Netherton Tunnel. You can even see parts of chipping away right up there. And there is some really poor states inside there with the massive potholes on the towpath, and some of the side of the walls are bowing right away in slightly with pressure from the back end of the wall. So there has been many repairs of Netherton Tunnel over the time. I know on certain dates they actually put struts in the wall to support the tunnel, and then they put new bricks leading all the way through, because you can just see as I zoom in there's evidence of new brick leading right away to the top. But the further you go in, the darker it obviously gets. Netherton Tunnel was the last canal tunnel to be built in Britain during the Canal Age. The first sod was turned by the Lord Ward on the 31st of December 1855, and the canal opened on the 20th of August 1858, providing a waterway connection between the Black Country towns of Netherton and Tipton. It was built to relieve the bottleneck of the adjacent Dudley Tunnel, which was very narrow and has alternative blocks of one-way working, and had waiting times of 8 hours or more, or sometimes several days. Netherton Tunnel was built with a width of 27 feet to allow two-way working of narrowboats, and is brick-lined throughout. It has towpaths running through each side, which enables horse-drawn narrowboats to be pulled through. Chainage distance markers are still visible on the eastern wall. The tunnel was fitted from the start with gas lighting over the towpaths, though this was later converted to electricity and is now unlit. Air vents that run along the line of the tunnel and provide ventilation, and a shaft of light in the canal are known by locals as pepper pots because of their shape. They are brick lined and the openings are covered by an iron frame or grille. The wide bore and good ventilation means boats using the tunnel today are allowed to use the power of their internal combustion engines, which is prohibited in the narrow Dudley Tunnel. Wow, this is very creepy. Look how dark it is. The sounds of all the water drops trickling all the way through. Just absolutely so dark. But you can just tell all the architecture going all the way down, giving evidence of the old Black Country construction of a tunnel. I just really do find it amazing, and if you've never been to Netherton Tunnel, then it's definitely worth a trip down. You can just keep going all the way through the full 1.7 mile. But the only thing what stops you on foot is the massive potholes and the big dips of water. And another tunnel which is definitely worth to try and see, but you need a narrowboat to do it, is the Gosley Hill Tunnel, because it's much more smaller and it's got some awesome architecture going all the way through. You can definitely tell the amount of water down here, so that's why you've got to bring the right footwear to come to Netherton Tunnel. But just look at the brick going all the way down, how old it really is. Constructed all in 1855 by all those men who just dug it out by hand all the way to Tividale. I think it's really, really an engineering marvel. Between Windham Junction and the tunnel portal stands Cobb's engine house, built in 1831 to pump water from coal mines into the canal. The Bumble Railway was used to cross the canal near Windham Junction, but was dismantled in 1969. But I mean, it's nice to see something like that standing right around the Black Country, giving evidence of the old coal mines. Cobb's engine house just sitting right away in the middle of the bungalow. Really spectacular. I just love the way the chimney sticks right away up and gives that nice views. Perfect for some very good drone footage for when I come back down to here on the next part of the video. Join me in episode 3 where we go all the way to Horn Basin, following the Dudley No. 2 canal extension line, covering bits and pieces of information and history, and the nice cinematics of the canal walking all the way down.